You're listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now, here are your hosts, fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to On Deck right here on the LineStar app. It is me and Chris Meaney, and it's you. And we want to remind everybody football is coming, and the pre-snap show, our other show, yes, we do everything here at LineStar, is coming very soon. So make sure you go over to pre-snap and subscribe to that. So NFL content starting in August. We're going to be doing some of the previews of the teams. It's going to be great, kind of get into the nitty gritty of what we think it's going to look like. Eventually, obviously, we'll get to the week 1 previews. We're going to have a wagering show. We're going to have a recap show. Chris Meaney, we're going to have so many shows on the pre-snap. I'm super excited. Are you?
Yes, absolutely. So many shows. We got football August 1st, the very first game, the Hall of Fame game. We got the Denver Broncos and the Atlanta Falcons. So yeah, I can't wait to sit down and break down some football with you. Absolutely. I mean, I already got the block book. I'm prepared for season long, and let's get everybody prepared for DFS.
Get prepared right here. And of course, as Chris mentioned, the #1 best-selling fantasy sports and black book out there on Amazon. Go get your copy. Everything's updated. We got everything out there. The cheat sheets have been updated. So go get your black book. Get ready for NFL. This is it. This is the time we're doing it, but there's plenty of baseball. And I know if you're listening today, you're listening for baseball. And we're going to fly around yesterday a little bit. And speaking of flying around, some wacky stuff happened. But we'll get to what we got right and got wrong. But Trevor Bauer would like to fly around with the baseball, too. Apparently, he's not too happy about being taken out of a game. I think Scott Pianowski, who was a friend of ours in the industry, he had the best line, which is, I didn't mind him throwing that ball. What I'm upset about was Angel Hernandez called it a strike.
He was trending for a couple different reasons yesterday. Because of that, what Pianowski had tweeted, which was gold, by the way, is fantastic. And then actual Angel Hernandez called a clear ball a strike. Eloy Jimenez was up at the plate, and it was ridiculous. I don't understand how they let this guy continue to ump, and we'll see, robot umps a lot sooner because of a guy like Angel Hernandez. But yeah, Trevor Bauer, what a freak. I don't know. Like, he owned it later. I like what he said after. I mean, he really just took all the blame. I don't know what the hell he was thinking doing that. I mean,
he's just
what a nutcase.
I kind of wonder. I kind of wonder if Trevor Bauer is like the first of many now to come down the pike who is going to be, like the kids who did nothing but play baseball. And we're always told that they were the best at everything, and they probably were. And they lived this weird bubble life where they just weren't allowed to kind of do and act however they wanted. And I feel like there's more of them coming. Like, there's going to be a lot more memes coming. It's hard to feel like the bubble is going to burst for a lot of these people at some point. But,
tell me you read Terry Francona's lips when he went out to see him. What the are you doing, boy?
Well,
so does he get flipped now? Like, I don't know. There's always been reports that Bauer doesn't people don't like him inside the clubhouse.
Nobody likes him. Nobody liked him in Arizona. Nobody likes him anywhere, it seems like.
I mean, this could be why. I mean, the second baseman, I don't think it was Scope at the time. I forget. It may have been Scope. Anyways, he flinched when he thought he was throwing the ball at him. And there's been some talk about Bauer getting dealt. I know that they're holding down a wild card spot right now. They got a lot of pitching. Corey Kluber's coming back soon. I mean, I don't think Bauer's in their plans. I mean, they had that arbitration hearing in the offseason. Arbitration hearings never go over well, but that was one that was voiced pretty publicly that didn't go well. Bauer is a little ticked off of all the negative things Cleveland was saying about him, but that's how arbitration hearings go. I mean, that's what happens. Exactly. So he definitely is. He's definitely not mature enough to handle a little bit of
Well, it's weird because then he does a lot of other stuff lately on social this year that's kind of endearing and kind of likable, and then he acts like a child some other time. And I don't care. I don't care personally. You're just here for my amusement.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I look at all these guys. It's entertainment, and we are part of the entertainment. You and me and DFS, it's all part of the entertainment. LineStar App, we're here for the entertainment. And, it's eventually when you stop being good, your antics won't go very far. All those unlikable qualities. Everybody can deal with an unlikable guy when he goes out there every fifth day and he's awesome. It's like Barry Bonds. Like Barry Bonds, when nobody liked Barry Bonds.
No.
Like his mom didn't like him. And nobody liked Barry Bonds. But you know what?
But damn it, you respected him.
Yeah, but damn it, you respected him. That's the thing. And, as soon as his contract was up and they looked at it as a liability, what they do?
Yeah,
We're just not going to resign you.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it's like we got as much as we can. We're good. We're going to leave you alone and all the other stuff. Speaking of weird, too, the Mets made a trade. And I mean, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say anymore. The Mets acquired Marcus Stroman. And I mean, I'd like to see Marcus Stroman in the National League. That's cool.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. And all I keep thinking of, people are like, well, they're going to flip him or flip somebody else now, or it's a move to make a flip. And I'm like, really? Is that what it is? Because I feel like the Mets are deranged and they think they're going to make a run at this because they're 6 games out of the wild card, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And the two of the teams ahead of them are the Phillies and Nationals. So I guess they feel like they might be able to control their own destiny. And I don't know if they're wrong, because if they kept Marcus Stroman, let's say they were not sellers, right? Let's say they were, they bought and this is it now. And they're just, nope, we're all in. We're going to be healthy and we're going to play good baseball for the next 2 months. Who's to say that they couldn't? Because is there a better healthy rotation than that one with DeGrom, Syndergaard, Wheeler, and Stroman?
Well, you know how I feel about Stroman. Yeah, I like him.
I know
think
you love Marcus Stroman.
I think he's solid. He's steady. I mean, he doesn't have a big strikeout rate when you look at his numbers. And yeah, 2018.
He's had 200 inning seasons, and there's not a lot of Mets pitchers on that staff that have had one.
Yeah, and I mean that season in 2017, or the season in 2018 rather, where he actually, you know what, it was further back than that. It was 2015 when the Jays were really good, and he blew out his knee in spring training. He was fielding a bunt. He blew out his knee, and he came back, and he had 4 starts in September, and he had a 1.24 ERA, and he led the Jays to a division title. And they were making some noise in the playoffs. And I thought that was his coming out party. He had a 64% ground ball rate that year. He's got a 59% for his career. He pitches in what is a bad environment against heavy hitting teams in the AL East. And now he gets to go to one of the better pitcher parks in all of baseball. So I like Stroman. I think he's a solid 2 on teams. And now you put him in a rotation, like you said, with DeGrom and Syndergaard and Wheeler and Matz. Yeah, he's like their 4. And to be honest, he's been better than Syndergaard this season. I mean, he has a 2.96 ERA. That's top 10 in baseball. That's the exact same mark as Garrett Cole. Like, he doesn't have that strikeout pedigree, but he keeps the ball on the ground, and that limits all the damage. I think he's a solid pitcher. So a little bit confused what the Mets were doing. I think it was a brutal return on the Jays' part to get 2 mid-level average,
Anthony
not
Kay
even top 100 prospects. One guy's getting lit up in AAA, Joe.
I know. I look, all I know is I just keep shaking my head. I don't know what's going on with this whole thing, the Mets or the Blue Jays. This whole thing, I saw this and I went, huh? I just assumed when they saw Marcus Stroman trending on Twitter that he was going to some other team, and then I see that it's the Mets, and I say, what? Like, it just continuously got weirder and weirder.
I
admire the National League. Like, I'm sure we're going to start buying him more in the National League because some better setups for him.
Yeah, right, and I admire a team like the Mets though doing this. Like they have to go all in. You get Cano last year. He did all these things.
Well, that's what I think.
Go all in and do it. You got another year. Yeah, exactly. You got another year of Stroman. Who knows what they're going to do by the time the deadline hits? Wednesday? Like, what are they going to do? Maybe Wheeler's gone, but hey, you're right. Maybe they're going to go for it.
I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. All right, let's go fly around yesterday. Aaron Nola got his 9th win. Nice to see, even though he did get the quality start. Kevin Gossman, obviously, gave up a couple runs there. So the one big start, honeymoon kind of over. But in that one, you got home runs from Harper, Hoskins, and Rio Muto. So that's a good sign for the Phillies. We also had flying through yesterday, you had Yonder Alonso, who's back with the Colorado Rockies now back in baseball. But we also were very much on the Blue Jays stack.
Yes.
So that was a positive too. 10 runs from there. Justin Smoke, who was a guy we talked about, yard work. That's exactly what we wanted from the middle of that order. That's a positive. Jason Vargas just keeps on getting wins. I don't, talk about Smoke.
It's another guy. Does he get bumped out of the rotation now?
I don't know. It's like him or Matt's. Like, honestly, I guess.
Yeah, Vargas
has pitched out of
so good.
But Vargas has pitched out of the bullpen before, so I'm thinking yes. Disappointing for Robbie Ray. He was my guy. It did not go as planned. He got the loss, unfortunately.
Though.
But I was going to say, but 11K. So, I mean, I guess, you choose your color here because you had Strasburg beat Buehler. So we knew that was going to be a tight one. Now, this one kind of got wacky at the end, too. All of a sudden, it was a very tight game. It was no scoring still to the 5th inning. And then after that, there were 15 runs scored. So, things got a little wacky there. as we continue to go through. The other thing was that we were kind of fading Dakota Hudson. He got the loss. We talked about that being a bad spot for him against the Astros, so we were right on that. Jose Altuve just keeps hitting home runs.
Yes,
I have a board bet with somebody on Twitter that if Jose Altuve hits 24 home runs again this year, that he has to buy me a bobblehead of Jose Altuve from my shelf.
Oh, I mean, he's 8 away. Yeah,
he's only 8 away now.
He's gonna do
and he
that.
was this guy was talking trash when he was on the IL. He's like, "See, I told you, blah 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 blah." Yeah, where are you now?
You know what? Another
16.
Yeah, where are you now? Because he's definitely going to do it. Another takeaway for me too, and I know we kind of just laugh at him, is Wade Miley is just having a heck of a year. I mean, a 3.06 ERA, another win there.
He is.
Just the ground ball guy. He's not a good fantasy guy, but again, just moving forward, when you see Wade Miley on the hill, I think the first initial instinct is to attack him. I think it's to avoid him, actually.
Yeah, I agree. And we were wrong about Bumgarner. He actually come away with the W there. He didn't pitch great. He gave up 4 runs, but he was able to get a W nonetheless. So, I mean, I guess, you know what? I'm going to take it back. No, we were right. We were right. I don't care if he got the win. It was not a great performance for him. And of course, in the evening, which was not on the slate, but just to point out, Chris Sale lost to the Yankees. So there you have it. I mean, it was a wacky weekend. I'll tell you that. It is definitely a wacky weekend there. You had a lot of dingers on Sunday, which is fun. But that was yesterday, Chris. And today is a new day. Yes, it is. So let's get after it. And let's start things up in Washington, where you got Patrick Corbin at 10.8 against Dallas Keuchel at 8.8. So Patrick Corbin has been an enigma for us. How do you approach this one today with these two guys going head to head? That's the DK price, the FanDuel price. Corbin 10.4, Keuchel 8.1, so very comparable. So give me the breakdown between these two guys, if at all you want them tonight, because it's not a huge Monday slate. It's kind of short.
Yeah, it's tough. You're right. It is short, and there's not a lot of studs. And really, like, Corbin he's kind of the true stud on this slate. But I mean, he just faced the Braves too. I don't like to do it personally. I don't like to go against the Braves. You know this. And just looking at strikeouts for Corbin, 151 and 130 innings, it's 10 per. And just look at his game log and see, you know, where the strikeouts come from in the games where they haven't been there. And, you know, the one start against Atlanta. I mean, 5K is fine. It's great. But am I going to spend 10-8 on DK for that? I don't know. Like Caleb Smith and Paddock and Gray have strikeout upside as well in their game. And they're, you know, significantly cheaper, at least if you go down to Gray. So I don't think I'm going to go there personally. I've been wrong before on Corbin. I'll be honest, I can't get him right. Like last week, I wanted to fade him against Colorado, and he was good. I wanted to play him in a start against the White Sox, and he gave up 7 runs. So I don't have a great feel on him, but honestly, I have a feel on the Braves lineup. There's some guys there that just hit lefties really well. I mean, Ozzie Albies has moved up to the 2 spot. We know about his success against lefties. Josh Donaldson's bat. So I don't know. If Acuna doesn't play in this game, that will actually be enough for me to maybe have some more exposure to Patrick Corbin. I know he left yesterday's game with just neck stiffness, so I don't know if he's going to suit up today.
You know, you mentioned those numbers that they've had against lefties, and we talked about that earlier in this show this past week. I want to say against Ryu, we talked about that, if memory serves. And that was one of the reasons why we were a little sketch about, you know, we wanted to fade Ryu from the slate. And you know what? It ended up working out in the end because Sanchez did match him like we thought he would. But it's funny. I tend to agree with you. This is not a great glowing slate in terms of cash game arms. He's going to be super chalky. There's him, and then we'll get to later on in San Diego. We'll get to Paddock. But I think if, you know, with the small slate, I don't think it's terrible. I think that there will be enough people that want to get fancy and go all the way to the other side with Keuchel and Atlanta. But when you dig into the numbers, it supports that that's not necessarily the way to go. And by the way, can we all just also say, I know it's a lefty-lefty matchup, but Juan Soto down to 3-2. What?
Whoa, on FanDuel.
Yeah, on
Didn't even
FanDuel.
notice. Well,
yeah, so
that's ridiculous.
Howie Kendrick has done nothing, and his playing time is starting to shrink too. So he's at 2.3. So I don't know if this is one of those, like, you know, potential where you throw him in a lineup and go, hey, he's done nothing for so long, maybe you get a breakout, but I know it's a little risky. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at this, and I think that Corbin is pretty safe tonight. I really do. And you know, it's not, and there will be enough people that will get fancy on it. Now let's see. Do we want to get fancy with Sonny Gray? Because Sonny Gray is 9.2, and I feel pretty good about this one too. 9.2 on FanDuel. Over on the DK side, 9.4. So again, comparable price. I like it.
Yeah, he's been solid for quite some time now. I mean, you go, he hasn't allowed more than 4 runs in a start this season. Pretty
It's
remarkable.
amazing.
And
That is an amazing stat.
And he's only allowed 4 twice, and it came in Milwaukee. We'll give him a pass, and it came against the Braves, who we just talked about. And I want to give him a pass in those 2 starts as well. He's been
But the
great.
strikeouts have been there too. I mean, look, he had 12 Ks a couple weeks ago against the Brewers. Over his last 33 innings, 42 strikeouts, 7 walks, just 19 hits. See, to me, that's even the biggest shocker is the 19 hits. Like, when did Sonny Gray become so tough to square up? That's what I want to understand. And here he is, and it's just unbelievable. I'll tell you what, I will say this: Sonny Gray for the extra $1,000, which is about what you're saving.
Yeah.
I think is worth it in cash game tonight on FanDuel and the standalone to do that. I think you take that money and you spend it on offense and you do fade Corbin because that's how confident I am in Sonny Gray against the Pirates. But if you want to go with Corbin, I don't think it's bad either. I think it's going to be fine chalk anyway.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I mean, he enters with a 55% ground ball rate. He's got a 53% mark for his career, and that's what keeps him out of the trouble. And he's got the 10K per 9. He's been on record to talk about Derek Johnson and the pitching staff in Cincinnati and how they've been on the same page all year. He's been able to use his slider. He feels comfortable using some of his pitches that he used in Oakland and that New York wanted him to get away from, and that didn't work out. So he enters this start. He's got a 3.44 ERA at home, solid. Lefties are only hitting 193 against him, a 242 WOBA. And look at some of the lefty bats inside that Pittsburgh lineup, like Frazier. Reynolds is going to spin around. Bell's going to spin around. Moore and Dickerson are not doing anything. So I like Sonny Gray a lot. I'm a fan. I'm going to play him, and I like him more than Corbin tonight.
All right, since July 6th, I just want to point this out here. Here's a fun Josh Bell stat. Guess how many home runs Josh Bell has since July 6th?
0.
Guess how many RBI he has since then?
Oh man, I don't know. 7?
2.
Oh, wow. He's the only guy that hasn't hit a home run since the Derby, like participated in the Derby. I know
Right,
those
exactly.
always come around after, you ruin your swing or whatever, but there's always one guy that struggles after the Derby.
I told you
Josh
the
Bell.
magical. I forget where I read it, so I'm just gonna take credit for it myself. But it's not really about the guys changing their swing. It's about the fact that nobody tends to repeat a hot first half.
Right.
When they're on fire, just baseball, things start to rectify themselves and level out. And look, Josh Bell right now, they're without that middle of the order presence. It's not like they are not going anywhere, and they're not going to be. I don't think they're competitive tonight against Sonny Gray. I think this is a lock for him. Now, where do we want to go against Jordan Lyles in this game too? Because that's something to consider. You got Eugenio Suarez at 3.9. You got Puig at 3.1. You got also Scooter at 2.6. So lots of cheap guys there. Even Senzel at 3.5, I think, is in play tonight too. And that's the nice thing about getting, on the FanDuel side of things, it's a little cheaper. Now on the DK side, Senzel's 4.5, not terrible. Puig 4.4, not terrible. Scooter 3.4, huge discount. So those are the guys that stick out to me. Suarez at 5.1, is that too rich for your blood, or do you play him tonight if you're all in on the Reds? Do you have to even?
Yeah, I think he's definitely
have to.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna stack Reds, you get their best bat in there. Lefties is the way to go, I think, against Lyles. 321 average, 416 WOBA, 603 slugging, pretty significant. So maybe Votto in there. You mentioned Scooter Gennett. I think that's a pretty good call. He's fairly cheap. I don't think anybody's really going to be on Scooter Gennett. He hasn't been all that good since he's been called up. But the fly ball rate against Lyles has been against lefties 42% compared to 34 from righty. So I would go that way with maybe Votto. Josh Van Meter's actually been surprisingly good. I don't expect him to continue to have success. He's not this good of a hitter, but he was raking in the minors before he was called up, and he's got 3 homers in his last 4 games.
It's 2.7. I don't mind it. I kind of left him for you to discuss because I figure you would pop into that. But that to me, it's about the price return on investment. At 2.7, yeah. At 3.7 on DK, meh.
Agreed.
It's tougher. I'd rather go the Scooter route with the more proven hitter, and I think I would just take that. But look, hitting at 2.7, I think you throw him in that utility slot or whatever on FanDuel, and I think you get by with it. Let's move on to Arizona, where Merrill Kelly's taking on Caleb Smith. Smith is 9.4 on FanDuel, which is basically the same price as Sonny Gray, so no. And he's 10.6, which is the same price as Patrick Corbin. So is there a case to be made just because of ownership for Caleb Smith tonight?
Yeah, I wonder. You think people will just shy away from him? Is that what you're?
Well, I'm just saying the pivots are so obviously right in line with each other, with the other two guys that we like more.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, look, over the last 24 innings, 28 strikeouts, 10 walks, 15 hits. That's been solid. He's got 3 wins over his last 4 starts. So he's been pretty good. I think it's just a sheer ownership play, like differential. So if you've got that same, if you're doing multi-entry and you really like, let's say you want to throw a Sonny Gray lineup in tonight on FanDuel, and then I think you do another one with Caleb Smith just to cover yourself.
Yeah, you know what? I feel, it's a good call. Good strategy. I feel better with
there's not
Caleb
a lot
Smith,
tonight.
honestly. No, there isn't. There's not a lot. This is it, really. And like you said off the top of the show, another guy that we'll get to at the end. So, you know what? Arizona hasn't really. I know we've been talking about them this weekend. You know, heading into the weekend show, we were mentioning, at least I was, that they'd be good plays all weekend against Miami. Well, they blew that start Friday. They blew Greinke's start. They got the loss. On Saturday, he scored some runs, but yesterday, you know, we talked about Robbie Ray. He was fine. They couldn't get any offense. Like Caleb Smith, actually like him a little bit more than Corbin. I like the environment. I know he's a fly ball pitcher, but you know, he's racking up some strikeouts. It's a good environment at home for him today. There are a couple guys inside that Arizona lineup that crush lefties like Martin Escobar that I'm slightly worried about. But after that, he could get through this lineup and get 7 to 9 strikeouts. I really think he could do that. So I think it's a good pivot off Corbin. And again, I just feel safer. I'm just afraid of that Atlanta lineup. So, and I think a lot of people are. So Corbin he's a good tournament arm, but I think Smith is a little bit safer if you're one of those cash game guys. But Gray to me is, I think there's a big difference in, you know, at least what I feel between the two, like Smith and Gray. I like Gray more.
All right, very good. I like Gray more too, but I think if you're going in the multi-entry route tonight, that you do some interchanging because there's not a whole lot to interchange. You might as well. All right, now speaking of tournament stuff, Brad Keller, who I was right about last week. I get it, Brad Keller. Yeah, and Brad Keller's been pretty decent of late. Another guy too, 32 innings, his last 32 innings, 4 wins over his last 5 starts. The strikeouts aren't huge, which is why you got to pick your spots. And he's a little hittable. He's got 31 hits in the last 32 innings. So that's the thing with Keller, is you got to be very careful. So am I going to do it again tonight? Because look, if I'm looking for a secondary pitcher, he's 8.4 on DK. I think he is the quintessential guy tonight. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, the same thing applies when we talked last week about him. Like, he keeps the ball on the ground, enters at a 53% ground ball rate. Look at the Jays at home. There are a couple Jays bats heating up, and you were all over them this weekend. So I felt like when I looked at this, I was like, where is Joe going to go? Is he going to go with Keller? Is he going to go with these cheap J bats? Like Vlad Guerrero Jr. has been heating up lately. He had a pretty good weekend. Free Bo with the Stroman trade. Maybe we'll get a little Bo in the lineup.
Yeah, Gurriel had a good weekend too.
Gurriel had a good weekend.
And by the way, just want to point out, he's down to 3.6 now. So that price has come way back down to earth. Thank goodness.
Yes, for
and now you got Biggio leading off in that lineup too. A little flip flop going on that lineup potentially tonight again. But I still think Keller is the kind of pitcher that will give the Jays a hard time.
I think so too.
So, you know, he does pitch to contact a little bit, but at the same time, they're a bit of a free swinging bunch. So I don't know. I think Keller tonight is my secondary arm, because really just almost out of necessity. I really just like out of necessity Brad Keller tonight. But yeah, you make some good points there. Also, to point out, you got Hunter Dozier at 3.2, Jorge Soler 3.1, Whit Merrifield 3.4. That is a nice little stack. I know Alberto Mondesi not being in is a bummer, but on the DK side, these guys are super expensive. Whit Merrifield 4.9, Dozier 4.5, so I don't love it. I like the Royals with Keller on FanDuel. If you want to play him as a tournament arm, I just don't know if there's enough upside with the strikeouts on the short slate tonight, so I wouldn't do that. But I like Keller as a secondary arm 10 on DK. I think that's the spot where you want to play him. So Kenta Maeda at 6.8 into Colorado against John Gray. Now, John Gray's numbers have been better in Colorado. We've pointed that out many times. He has been crap lately. I am running away from this. I want nothing to do with either of these pitchers. Give me the offense in this one. So, and if that's the case, where are you going for offense, Chris, in this one today? Which side or both?
Yeah, you know, for the first time all year, I think we're finally going to see the Dodgers priced accordingly. They took an outing in Colorado to make it happen, but even still, looking over there on FanDuel, there's some guys that are pretty valuable in terms of price. Like AJ Pollock is only 3.8, Corey Seager is only 3.5. If Will Smith gets in the lineup, he recently was called up. You know, for the Dodgers, they got rid of Barnes, so I know, you know, where we're looking, Fantasy Labs has Russell Martin, but, you know, I've been checking out LineStar, and I checked it out over the weekend, and they liked Will Smith. He's got some power. So if, you know, we don't talk about catchers much, and if he comes up, he's going to be pretty cheap. Get in that lineup. So I would just do whatever to you have to stack this game. I know a lot of people will. I wouldn't have full exposure. I would have other spots as well, maybe other game stacks, just in case this doesn't go as according
Well, that's why I like
to
the red
plan.
so much. I think it's the red
Yeah, I think
and
it's a
then this
great
game.
fallback.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But 6.7 team implied total, 6 on the other side. So I'm just going to seek out value really. Obviously you have some home run potential with Bellinger and Muncy and Jock Peterson at the top. I mean, he smashes righties, but still looking over on FanDuel with Pollock and Seager, Turner, Verdugo, only 3-1. Those are some guys. And on the other side, Colorado's going to be able to have success too. Like Kenta Maeda has been unbelievable at home. He's not the same pitcher on the road, and we know what pitchers struggle. You know what happens when they go to Colorado. So on the other side, like some of those guys like Dahl, still cheap, 3.4, Murphy 3.6. Yeah, that's kind of where I would start. I mean, even Arenado's 4.2 and Story's 4.1. I mean, when you look at other prices like Blackman 4.5 and Bellinger 4.9, that's a bit of a value there with those two guys.
It's a huge value for Arenado for sure. Now, the one more spot that you can make a case for some offense tonight is against Jordan Zimmerman, and that's your Angels. So you got Trout, Ohtani, Fletcher, Upton, even Cole Calhoun. There's some decent values here too. Obviously, going to pay through the nose for Trout, but at the same time, you're going to pay for one of these guys like Bellinger or Arenado or Story or any of those guys anyway. So I understand he's super expensive on DK. I get it, but there are some opportunities tonight to work Trout into a lineup. But look, to me, I think this is the other one. I think you got the Angels tonight. You got the Reds. If you don't want to go into Dodgers, Rockies, you take those two and just fade it all together, or mix and match them if you want. But to me, I think the Angels are very much in play tonight against Jordan Zimmerman, who's just been complete trash.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the other stack I like as well. 6.5 team implied total. It's the highest on the board outside of that game in Colorado, right? So there's going to be some runs. Zimmerman's a high contact guy. We've talked about David Fletcher before. I think I mentioned on Friday's show or Saturday's show, he's the hardest guy in baseball to strike out, and he had 4 hits on Saturday's game. He just has a 93% contact rate. So he sets the table for the rest of the crew there in LA, and there's some value there with him. So Zimmerman is a fly ball guy. And you know what? Jaime Barria is not a bad little play either at 7-2, especially like if you're going to play the late slate tonight. If you're one of those guys that just wants to play,
that's your other secondary default arm tonight on DK.
Yeah,
too.
You go Paddock or you go Barria. I mean, he enters with a 9K per 9. The Tigers, we know all about this lineup and how they strike out a ton. And I watched his last start against the Dodgers. He's very impressive. He only allowed 3 hits, 1 run. So he does have a little bit of strikeout upside in him. So I think he can get to 7 or 8, and there's a good shot at a win. So at 7-2 on DK, it's not a bad call. I like it a lot better on DraftKings than FanDuel. Exactly, and you should get Trout.
If you like the Angels tonight, then and you want to go with him as a secondary pitcher, well, you might as well be all in and go with Trout too, and that allows you to do that 5-7. It's super hard, but I think a guy like Barria at 7-2 allows you to make that happen and still pretty responsibly. There's one more left, and it's Chris Paddock. He's at 10.2 on DK tonight, so pretty expensive there over on the FanDuel side. 8.9, a huge variance. So my question is, let's take him one at a time. Chris Paddock at 8.9 at home against the Orioles, or do our boy Sonny Gray from the beginning at 9.2, $300 difference. Which way do you like?
That's a good one.
Tough.
I like Gray. I like Gray
too.
You know what? I like Paddock. I have nothing against him, but it's the same thing that we've said all year with Paddock. Like, who knows what the Padres want to do?
There's more variance in there.
Yeah,
Gray's
you could take him out in the 6th if they wanted to.
Right. The pitch count could be up. He could go 5 innings and pitch really well and then come out anyway. He could pitch, mediocre. And there's just a lot of variance still with Paddock by comparison. So I agree. I'm going with Sonny Gray too. And I think if we're going that route, then I think that when we compare him on DK, he's a fade tonight. Because when you get to 10.2 for that same price, that's when you start to get into the Caleb Smith, Patrick Corbin. And again, it's just a sheer ownership play. Like if you play it as an alternative one and it hits, then you're separating yourself. But I don't know if you have to take that risk on, and I don't think I would take that risk in cash games tonight at all. No, I think it's the wrong way to go.
Agreed, 100%.
All right, anything else here from this game? Do you want to get involved with some of these bats over here? Tatis is up to 5.4, Machado 4.6, Renfroe 4.7. Will Myers sighting yesterday, by the way. He actually hit a home run. I didn't know you still play baseball, Will Myers.
Well, yeah, because he hasn't been. I mean, he's lost a spot in the lineup, right? He just has not been playing. So
he's at 2.4 tonight on FanDuel. Talk about free squares.
yes, good call. Actually, nice catch by you with that. Because if you are playing on FanDuel, and especially if you're going to play late slate and you're looking for a cheap guy, he has some upside if he finds a way into the lineup for sure. I just wanted to, kind of pat your back on Santander. I mean, you mentioned him the other day, and he didn't hit any home runs in that series against the Angels, but he had a 3-for-4 game, a 2-for-5 game. He came away with 5 RBI in that series. It's somebody to keep an eye on. He's got some power in his bat, and he's moved up in the order where he's hitting in the 3 or the 4 spot, and I expect him to do the same tonight. I'm not talking about playing him tonight, but I'm talking about just, I mean, it was a nice catch by you. I mean, he's been good. He's trending up.
He's been good. I even picked him up in our league, which, by the way, I saw the only person had a bigger week in our home league is you than me. So look at us. I want to meet you in the World Series. That's what I want to. It's a battle.
Nice. We got another week left. The guy's got some. He's closing the gap on me, but I got a shot.
I think I've already gotten my.
You've already crushed him. You got double the amount of points.
He didn't show up. I was ready. He didn't show up. He brought a gun to a bazooka fight, and I brought the bazooka. And that was without Scherzer going twice. It was all Paul Goldschmidt and Altuve and Acuna. It was all the hitting.
Goldschmidt has been completely. Yeah, all the worries about Goldschmidt. Again, another amazing second half here.
He's just pressing. He's just that kind of guy. He cares. He pressed the first half. Like everybody, Carlos Beltran, his first year as a Met. Press, just too much pressing. Everyone's trying to impress everybody. And same thing with Harper. I bet Harper's gonna have a great second half. Not that he was a bad first half necessarily. It's not as bad as everybody wants to make it out to be. Okay, betting lines, not a lot, but what do you got?
No, not a lot at all. Okay, well, I'm going to take Cincinnati, obviously. I like the Reds at home. I think even though I feel like the Reds can score 5 or 6 runs, I'm going to take the under in this game. It's at 10, so I like the Reds in the under. I like the over in Colorado, obviously, between the Dodgers and the Rockies. I like the Angels. I think you can pick them by 2. You're going to have to. They're minus 250 favorites. You're really going to have to lay some juice to get some return there. So I think you can pick them by 2-3 runs tonight, get some runs. I like the Padres and the under there. And then, you know what? I'm going to go against the grain. Let's go the upset pick of the night. And I don't really consider it one, but the Braves plus 130 against Washington.
All right, there you have it. So it's that time. It's time to call our shot and where we're going yard. And I'm going to go in Colorado. I know, look, there's not a lot to choose from. Usually we don't like to do this, but there's not a lot of the games to choose from tonight. So I'm going to go with Jock Peterson at the top of that lineup off John Gray. As you mentioned so astutely before, Jock Peterson's been crushing right-handed pitching, and I think he will crush John Gray tonight. So give me Jock Peterson to go yard. Chris Meaney, who's your pick?
You know, it's been a long time. You've done this a lot, but it's been a long time since you've had a leadoff home run in a game. So I would really like to see that.
Runs, but I would like to have a leadoff. You know, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, let's do it. First pitch.
Let's do it. Start strong.
First pitch, Jock Peterson. Just boom, gone. First pitch of the game. There it is. Set the tone and be done with it. That's what I'd like.
All right, I'm going to go to Anaheim for mine. I'm not going to go with Mike Trout. I'm going to go with a guy who's struggling, but I've seen some signs from his game lately. I know if you look at the box score, you'd think, but I'm going to go with Justin Upton, the former Tiger, against Jordan Zimmerman. I think he goes yard tonight.
All right, there you have it. You can follow us on Twitter at Joe Pisapia 17, at Chris Meaney, at LineStar App. Don't just subscribe to this show, but if you subscribe to this show and you love it, give it a nice 5-star rating and review. Keep pumping the gut. And by the way, our listenership is going up, which is crazy for this time of year. Usually this is the time where things are going in the negative, but you know what? Not so much with you. No, you love us so much that our actually numbers have been better in July than they have been all year long. That is amazing, and that's a tribute to all of you.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate you guys, and we want you to follow us for football too. Again, go find the pre-snap show. We just tweeted links out. LineStar's been tweeting links. We'll keep tweeting links. All the tweets, all the links. Go get ready for that because football is coming. Go get your black book, and there's nothing left for us to do except step out of the on-deck circle and into the batter's box and go yard. We'll see you next time, kids.
You've been listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.